Dr. Zephyrian Kolveth stared at the readings on his screen for the third time that morning. The energy signatures coming from the small blue planet in this uncharted system made no sense according to everything he knew about galactic technology. The patterns were all wrong, yet somehow they were there, pulsing with impossible intensity. The galactic research vessel, Nexus Prime, had been exploring the outer rim territories for 6 months when they detected the unusual emissions. Dr. Kolveth, a xenotechnology specialist with over 2 centuries of experience studying alien civilizations, had never encountered anything quite like this. The readings suggested a species that had somehow bypassed the normal progression of technological development. Captain Jake Morrison was having a perfectly ordinary Tuesday aboard the human exploration vessel Liberty when the massive alien ship appeared near Jupiter. The vessel was easily 10 times the size of his ship, sleek and crystalline, clearly built by beings far more advanced than humanity. Jake felt his heart rate spike as he watched the alien craft through the view screen. Lisa Carter, the Liberty's chief science officer, ran her hands through her brown hair as she studied the alien ship's configuration. The design was unlike anything in human databases, but the energy readings suggested peaceful intentions. No weapons were charging, and the ship maintained a respectful distance from human space. The first communication came through standard mathematical sequences, followed by what appeared to be a universal translation protocol. Within hours, both ships had established basic communication links. The aliens identified themselves as members of the Galactic Science Council, explorers and researchers who studied developing civilizations throughout the galaxy. Dr. Kolveth found himself genuinely curious about these humans, rather than concerned about potential threats. Their initial communications showed a refreshing directness and enthusiasm for scientific exchange. Most species the Council encountered were either too primitive for meaningful contact or so advanced that they had little interest in sharing knowledge. Jake Morrison welcomed the opportunity for peaceful first contact. Humanity had been alone in the galaxy for so long that meeting another intelligent species felt like a dream come true. He authorized Lisa Carter to invite a small delegation of alien scientists aboard the Liberty for cultural and technological exchange. The meeting took place in the Liberty's main conference room. Dr. Kolveth and his research team materialized via transport beam, tall and elegant beings with pale blue skin and large, intelligent eyes. They moved with a fluid grace that spoke of advanced genetic engineering and centuries of refined evolution. Lisa Carter had prepared a presentation about human technology and culture, starting with what she considered their most impressive achievements. She showed the aliens their fusion reactors, their quantum computers, and their faster-than-light drive systems. Each demonstration was met with increasingly puzzled expressions from the galactic scientists. Dr. Kolveth tried to hide his confusion as he watched the human technology in action. The energy readings from their fusion reactors were impossible according to established physics. The reactors were crude, brutish things that should barely produce enough power to heat a small building, yet somehow they generated enough energy to propel massive ships between star systems. The human quantum computers were even more disturbing. Every galactic civilization used carefully controlled quantum systems that required perfect conditions and massive support infrastructure. The human devices were compact, operated at room temperature, and somehow maintained quantum coherence despite conditions that should have caused immediate decoherence. Lisa Carter noticed the aliens exchanging worried glances but attributed it to cultural differences. She continued her presentation, explaining how human engineers had developed artificial gravity through spinning sections of their ships and how their life support systems used simple but effective chemical processes to maintain breathable atmospheres. Danny Walsh, the Liberty's chief engineer, joined the presentation to explain the ship's propulsion system. He was a practical man who had spent his career making impossible things work through determination and creative problem-solving. He showed the aliens how human ships achieved faster-than-light travel by creating controlled explosions in space-time itself. The galactic scientists listened in growing horror as Danny explained how human FTL drives worked by essentially punching holes through the fabric of reality using massive amounts of energy. Every other species in the galaxy had learned, to slip gracefully between dimensions using elegant field manipulation, humans had apparently decided to break down the door instead. Dr. Kolveth requested permission to scan the human technology more thoroughly. His instruments confirmed what his eyes were telling him. These devices should not work according to any known principles of physics, yet they clearly did work. The humans had somehow developed technology that operated through sheer brute force rather than scientific elegance. The cultural exchange continued for several hours, with both sides sharing information about their respective civilizations. The aliens spoke of a vast galactic community where thousands of species cooperated in peaceful scientific research. They described technologies that seemed like magic to human understanding, devices that manipulated matter and energy with precision beyond human comprehension. Jake Morrison found himself both excited and intimidated by the scale of galactic civilization. Humanity had always assumed they were alone in the universe, struggling to develop technology through trial and error. Learning that advanced aliens had been watching over them was both comforting and humbling. Lisa Carter asked about the possibility of humanity joining the galactic community. Dr. Kolveth assured her that all peaceful species were welcome, but he seemed distracted by something. His instruments continued to produce readings that challenged everything he thought he knew about physics and engineering. As the meeting concluded, Dr. Kolveth realized he was facing the most significant scientific puzzle of his career. These humans had developed technology that violated fundamental principles of energy conservation and quantum mechanics, yet their devices worked reliably. Either human scientists had discovered new laws of physics, or they had somehow learned to ignore the old ones. The aliens prepared to return to their ship, promising to share their findings with the Galactic Science Council. Dr. Kolveth knew that his report would cause considerable debate among the galaxy's most respected scientists. Humanity represented something new and impossible, a species that had achieved technological advancement through methods that simply should not work. Jake Morrison watched the aliens depart with mixed feelings. First contact had gone better than anyone had dared hope, but he sensed that humanity's introduction to galactic society would be more complicated than expected. The aliens seemed genuinely puzzled by human technology, which was either very good or very bad for humanity's future. Among the stars, Dr. Kolveth returned to the human ship 3 days later with a full team of galactic engineers and physicists. The readings from his initial visit had caused significant concern among the Galactic Science Council, and they needed to understand exactly how human technology functioned. The implications of humans using impossible physics could affect the entire galactic community. Danny Walsh greeted the alien team with his usual enthusiasm. The chief engineer had spent 30 years working with human technology and was proud to show off what humanity had accomplished. He led the aliens through the Liberty's engine room, pointing out various systems with the confidence of someone who had personally installed most of them. The fusion reactor hummed with controlled nuclear fire, its magnetic containment fields barely containing reactions that should have required far more sophisticated equipment. Danny explained how human engineers had solved the containment problem by using multiple backup systems and simply building everything strong enough to withstand occasional failures. Dr. Kolveth watched his instruments register impossible energy outputs from what appeared to be primitive technology. The human fusion reactor was producing nearly as much power as advanced antimatter cores used by the most sophisticated galactic civilizations. The efficiency ratios violated every known principle of energy conversion. The alien team's quantum physicist, Dr. Silith Van Moore, examined the reactor's control systems with growing bewilderment. The humans used quantum computers to manage the fusion process, but their quantum systems operated under conditions that should have caused immediate quantum decoherence. Somehow, human quantum computers maintained stable operation despite electromagnetic interference that would cripple galactic quantum systems. Danny Walsh noticed the aliens' confusion and tried to explain human engineering philosophy. He told them that human technology worked on the principle of building things tough enough to handle problems, rather than trying to prevent problems from occurring. If something broke, they fixed it and made it stronger. If it worked, they built more of it without worrying too much about why it worked. The faster-than-light drive system caused even more concern among the alien scientists. Dr. Kolveth had studied propulsion systems from hundreds of different species, and all of them used some form of dimensional manipulation to achieve superluminal travel. Humans had apparently decided to skip the elegant science and simply force their way through space-time using brute energy application. Commander Amy Rodriguez arrived aboard the Liberty while the aliens were still studying the propulsion systems. Her ship, the New Horizons, was a colony vessel designed to transport thousands of humans to distant star systems. Dr. Kolveth requested permission to examine this larger vessel, hoping to understand human technology on a grander scale. The New Horizons dwarfed the Liberty in both size and technological complexity. Amy Rodriguez proudly showed the aliens through her ship's systems, explaining how human engineers had solved the challenges of long-term space travel through practical solutions, rather than advanced technology. The ship's artificial gravity system particularly intrigued the alien scientists. Galactic civilization achieved artificial gravity through exotic matter manipulation and complex field generators that required constant maintenance and enormous energy expenditure. Human ships created artificial gravity by spinning massive sections of their vessels, using centrifugal force to simulate planetary surface conditions. The system was crude but effective, requiring no exotic materials and minimal energy input. Dr. Kolveth found himself documenting what he was beginning to think of as the human paradox. Every human system he examined worked through methods that violated established scientific principles, yet the results were undeniably effective. Human engineers seem to have developed technology by ignoring theoretical limitations and simply building whatever worked in practice. The New Horizons carried mining equipment designed to extract resources from asteroid fields and planetary surfaces. The alien team examined human mining robots that operated through simple mechanical principles rather than the sophisticated nanotechnology used by galactic civilizations. Human mining operations were loud, messy, and inefficient by galactic standards, yet they produced results faster than most advanced mining systems. Amy Rodriguez explained that human engineers preferred systems they could understand and repair in the field, rather than elegant technology that required specialized knowledge to maintain. Human space exploration relied on equipment that could be fixed with basic tools and common sense, rather than advanced theoretical understanding. The ship's computer systems provided another puzzle for the alien scientists. Human artificial intelligence operated through what appeared to be organized chaos, neural networks that somehow produced intelligent behavior, despite lacking the careful logical architecture that characterized all known galactic AI systems. Human computers achieved consciousness through methods that no galactic scientist could explain. Dr. Silith Venmore spent hours examining human AI systems and concluded that they worked through principles that were fundamentally different from galactic computing. Human AI didn't calculate optimal solutions like galactic systems. Instead, it seemed to try millions of approaches simultaneously until something worked, then built upon successful solutions without necessarily understanding why they were successful. The aliens discovered that human technology development followed patterns that contradicted everything they knew about technological evolution. Most species developed advanced theory first, then built technology based on scientific understanding. Humans seemed to build technology first through trial and error, then develop theory to explain why their inventions worked. Danny Walsh confirmed this observation when he explained how human faster-than-light travel had been discovered. Human scientists had been experimenting with high-energy physics when they accidentally created a localized space-time distortion. Instead of studying the phenomenon to understand its implications, human engineers immediately began building ships that could reproduce and control the effect. Dr. Kolveth realized that humanity represented something entirely new in galactic history. Every species the Council had encountered followed predictable patterns of technological development based on scientific understanding. Humans had somehow developed advanced technology through pure experimentation and stubborn persistence, rather than theoretical knowledge. The implications were staggering. If humans could achieve impossible results through sheer determination, What did that say about the nature of physical law? Were the principles that governed galactic technology actually limitations rather than natural constants? Had other species been constraining themselves by accepting theoretical barriers that could be overcome through sufficient force and creativity? As the alien team prepared to return to their ship, Dr. Kolveth knew his report would fundamentally challenge Galactic's understanding of physics and engineering. Humanity had somehow learned to make reality conform to their expectations rather than conforming their expectations to reality. The question was whether this represented a new form of science or something beyond science entirely. Dr. Susan Bailey arrived at the meeting point between human and galactic space aboard the research vessel Discovery. As head of the Terra Research Institute, she had been chosen to represent humanity's most advanced scientific achievements to the increasingly puzzled galactic scientists. Her ship carried examples of cutting-edge human technology that she hoped would impress their new alien neighbors. Dr. Kolveth welcomed Dr. Bailey aboard the Nexus Prime with growing anticipation. His initial reports to the Galactic Science Council had been met with skepticism and demands for more thorough investigation. The Council's most respected physicists insisted that human technology simply could not work as described, and they had sent additional experts to verify his findings. The demonstration began in the Nexus Prime's main laboratory, a space filled with sophisticated scientific instruments that represented thousands of years of galactic technological development. Dr. Bailey unpacked her equipment with the casual confidence of someone accustomed to working with advanced systems, unaware that every device she revealed was causing alarm among the assembled alien scientists. Dr. Bailey's quantum computer was her pride and joy, a compact device that represented the latest breakthrough in human quantum processing. She explained how human scientists had solved the decoherence problem by building quantum systems robust enough to maintain coherence despite environmental interference. The alien scientist listened with expressions of growing horror. Every galactic civilization had developed quantum computing through the same basic principles. Quantum systems required perfect isolation from environmental interference, temperatures approaching absolute zero, and massive support infrastructure to maintain the delicate quantum states necessary for computation. The smallest vibration or electromagnetic pulse could destroy quantum coherence and render the systems useless. Dr. Bailey's quantum computer operated at room temperature in normal atmospheric conditions, while electromagnetic fields from the ship's systems created interference that should have made quantum computation impossible, yet the device functioned flawlessly, processing complex calculations at speeds that matched the best galactic quantum systems while using a fraction of the support infrastructure. Dr. Silith Van Moore examined the human quantum computer with instruments designed to detect the most subtle quantum phenomena. The readings confirmed what her eyes were telling her but contradicted everything she knew about quantum mechanics. The human device maintained stable quantum states despite conditions that should have caused immediate quantum decoherence. Dr. Bailey explained that human quantum computers worked on the principle of building quantum systems tough enough to withstand chaos rather than trying to eliminate chaos entirely. Human engineers had discovered that quantum states could be stabilized through redundancy and error correction rather than perfect environmental control. If one quantum state collapsed, backup systems immediately regenerated it. The artificial intelligence systems aboard Dr. Bailey's ship provided an even more disturbing puzzle for the galactic scientists. Human AI had evolved along completely different lines from galactic artificial intelligence, achieving consciousness through methods that seemed to violate the basic principles of logical computation. Galactic AI systems were built on carefully structured logical architectures that processed information through predictable mathematical algorithms. Every galactic AI could trace its decision-making process through clear logical steps, and their behavior could be predicted and controlled through well-understood programming principles. Human AI systems operated through what Dr. Bailey cheerfully described as controlled chaos. Neural networks that mimicked the structure of biological brains somehow produced intelligent behavior through processes that no human scientist fully understood. The AI systems learned by trial and error, developing their own solutions to problems without following predetermined logical pathways. Captain Rick Thompson joined the demonstration, via communication link from his military vessel, Guardian. His ship carried combat AI systems that had been developed for tactical situations requiring split-second decision-making under extreme conditions. The galactic scientists requested a demonstration of human military AI capabilities. The Guardian's tactical AI processed simulated combat scenarios faster than the most advanced galactic supercomputers while running on hardware that the aliens considered primitive by their standards. The AI didn't calculate optimal solutions through mathematical analysis like galactic systems. Instead, it simultaneously explored millions of possible approaches and selected successful strategies through pattern recognition rather than logical analysis. Dr. Kolveth found himself questioning fundamental assumptions about consciousness and intelligence. Galactic AI achieved intelligence through logical processing power and carefully structured programming. Human AI seemed to achieve consciousness through methods that resembled biological thought processes more than computer algorithms. The communication systems aboard human ships presented another impossible puzzle. Galactic civilizations had developed instantaneous communication through quantum entanglement networks that required precise calibration and constant maintenance. Human ships achieved faster-than-light communication through what appeared to be brute force manipulation of quantum fields. Dr. Bailey demonstrated human quantum communication by establishing a real-time link with Earth across hundreds of light-years of space. The system worked by creating quantum disturbances strong enough to propagate through space-time faster than light, essentially shouting across the galaxy loud enough to be heard despite interference and distance. The galactic scientists watched human communication technology work through methods that violated their understanding of quantum mechanics and information theory. Human quantum communicators achieved reliable faster-than-light communication by overpowering the natural barriers that limited galactic communication systems. Dr. Bailey's medical technology provided further evidence of human technological impossibility. Galactic medicine had evolved into precise nanotechnology that could repair biological systems at the cellular level. Human medical technology remained largely biological, using modified viruses and bacteria to fight disease and repair tissue damage. Human medical nanobots were crude by galactic standards, essentially tiny machines that performed simple mechanical tasks rather than the sophisticated cellular reconstruction used by advanced species. Yet human medical technology achieved results that matched galactic healing systems while using biological processes that should have been too unpredictable for reliable medical treatment. The pattern became clear as Dr. Bailey continued her demonstration. Human technology succeeded by embracing chaos and unpredictability rather than trying to control and eliminate them. Where galactic civilizations had developed elegant solutions based on scientific understanding, humans had created robust systems that worked despite imperfect conditions and incomplete knowledge. Dr. Kolveth began to suspect that humanity had discovered something that other galactic species had missed. Perhaps the universe was not as orderly and predictable as galactic science assumed. Perhaps reality could be influenced by will and determination rather than just mathematical laws and physical principles. The demonstration concluded with Dr. Bailey inviting the alien scientists to visit Earth and examine human technology in its natural environment. She assured them that what they had seen was just the beginning, and that human engineers were constantly developing new ways to make impossible things work through creativity and persistence. Dr. Silith Venmore realized that her understanding of physics and technology would need fundamental revision. If humans could achieve impossible results through determination rather than perfect technique, what did that say about the nature of scientific law? Were the barriers that limited galactic technology actually self-imposed limitations rather than natural constants? As the alien scientists prepared their reports for the Galactic Science Council, they faced a troubling conclusion. Humanity had somehow learned to negotiate with reality itself, convincing the universe to bend its rules through sheer stubborn persistence. The implications for galactic civilization would be profound and far-reaching. The emergency session of the Galactic Science Council convened aboard the massive space station Convergence Point, a neutral territory where representatives from 12 major galactic civilizations gathered to discuss matters of universal scientific importance. Dr. Kolveth had requested the emergency session after his team's investigation of human technology had produced results that challenged the fundamental assumptions of galactic science. The council chamber filled with beings from across the galaxy as Dr. Kolveth prepared to present evidence that would shake the foundations of established physics. Representatives from the ethereal collective floated in crystalline containment fields, their energy-based forms flickering with anticipation. The crystalline hierarchy sent geometric delegates whose faceted surfaces reflected the chamber's lighting in complex patterns that indicated deep concentration. The machine intelligence network transmitted their consciousness through quantum-linked processing nodes, their artificial minds operating at computational speeds that allowed them to process information faster than biological thought. Ancient beings from the stellar communion observed through gravitational sensors that detected the subtle effects of mass and energy throughout the chamber. Dr. Kolveth began his presentation with sensor readings that showed human technology producing impossible results. Energy output measurements from human fusion reactors exceeded theoretical maximums by factors that violated conservation of energy. Quantum computer operations maintained coherence under conditions that should have caused immediate system failure. Propulsion systems achieved faster-than-light travel through methods that ignored established principles of space-time manipulation. The assembled scientists initially responded with skepticism and demands for verification of the data. Dr. Silith Venmore presented additional evidence from her examination of human quantum systems, confirming that human technology operated through principles that contradicted everything the galactic community understood about physics and engineering. Representatives from the ethereal collective expressed particular concern about human energy manipulation techniques. As masters of pure energy who had transcended physical form millions of years ago, they understood energy physics better than any other galactic species. The readings from human fusion reactors suggested that humans were somehow extracting more energy from nuclear reactions than the reactions actually contained. The crystalline hierarchy's delegates reported similar impossibilities in human materials. Science. Human metal alloys maintained structural integrity under stresses that should have caused molecular breakdown. Human construction materials performed beyond their theoretical capabilities, as if the materials themselves were being convinced to exceed their natural limitations. The Machine Intelligence Network expressed the greatest concern about human artificial intelligence systems. Their collective consciousness had evolved from billions of years of logical computation and structured thought processes. Human AI appeared to achieve consciousness through chaotic neural networks that operated without logical architecture or predictable algorithms. Dr. Kolveth presented video evidence of human engineers at work, showing them building impossible devices through trial and error experimentation rather than careful theoretical design. Human technology development resembled artistic creation more than scientific methodology, with engineers following intuition and practical experience rather than mathematical calculations. The council chamber erupted into heated debate as representatives from different civilizations tried to reconcile the evidence with their understanding of natural law. Some delegates suggested that humans had discovered new physical principles that other species had missed. Others proposed that human technology was somehow fraudulent or misrepresented. Professor Helen Morris materialized in the council chamber via transport beam, invited to represent humanity and explain their technological achievements to the assembled galactic scientists. She appeared calm and confident despite being surrounded by beings whose civilizations had existed for millions of years before humanity had discovered fire. Professor Morris began her address with a cheerful acknowledgement that human technology probably did seem impossible to species that had developed more conventional approaches to science and engineering. She explained that humans had learned early in their technological development that theoretical limitations were often just suggestions, rather than absolute barriers. The galactic scientists listened in growing alarm as Professor Morris described human engineering philosophy. She explained that human engineers routinely exceeded theoretical performance limits by simply ignoring them and building devices that worked despite violating established principles. If something should not work according to theory, but worked, in practice, humans trusted practice over theory. Dr. Kolveth asked how humans had developed faster-than-light travel without understanding the theoretical principles behind space-time manipulation. Professor Morris explained that human scientists had accidentally discovered the effect during high-energy experiments and had immediately begun building ships without worrying about why the technology worked. The representatives from advanced civilizations struggled to comprehend an approach to technology that prioritized results over understanding. Every galactic species had developed their technology through careful theoretical analysis, followed by practical implementation based on scientific principles. Humans appeared to develop technology first and figure out the science later, if at all. Professor Morris confirmed the aliens' worst fears when she explained that humans did not fully understand how most of their advanced technology functioned. Human engineers built devices that worked and then built more of them, without necessarily understanding the underlying principles. As long as the technology produced desired results, the theoretical details were considered less important. Through Machine Intelligence Network asked how human AI systems could achieve consciousness without logical architecture or predictable programming. Professor Morris explained that human AI developed consciousness through evolutionary processes that mimicked biological neural development rather than structured logical design. She described how human neural networks learned through trial and error, developing their own solutions to problems through processes that resembled biological evolution more than computer programming. Human AI achieved intelligence by growing rather than being programmed, adapting to challenges through methods that no human scientist could completely predict or control. The Ethereal Collective inquired about human energy manipulation techniques that appeared to violate conservation laws. Professor Morris acknowledged that human engineers did not fully understand why their fusion reactors produced such high energy outputs, but she noted that the reactors worked reliably and safely despite exceeding theoretical limits. She explained that human engineers had learned to trust empirical results over theoretical calculations when the two conflicted. If a device worked better than theory predicted, humans assumed that their theory was incomplete, rather than concluding that the device could not work. The galactic scientists realized they were confronting a fundamental challenge to their understanding of reality itself. If humans could achieve impossible results through determination and practical experimentation, what did that say about the nature of physical law? Were the principles that governed galactic technology actually self-imposed limitations rather than natural constants? Professor Morris concluded her address by inviting the galactic scientists to collaborate with human researchers in exploring the boundaries of what was possible. She suggested that perhaps reality was more flexible than galactic science had assumed, and that the universe might be willing to negotiate with species that approached it with sufficient creativity and persistence. Dr. Kolveth found himself facing the most significant paradigm shift in galactic scientific history. The evidence was overwhelming that humans had somehow learned to make reality conform to their expectations, rather than conforming their expectations to reality. The implications for the entire galactic community would be profound and transformative. As the emergency session concluded, delegates from across the galaxy began planning joint research projects with human scientists to investigate the nature of impossibility itself. The universe had just become a much more interesting and unpredictable place. 6 months after the emergency session of the Galactic Science Council, Dr. Kolveth published his groundbreaking research paper titled Applied Impossibility: How Human Determination Overrides Physical Law. The publication caused the largest scientific revolution in galactic history, fundamentally challenging everything. The galactic community thought they knew about the nature of reality itself. The paper presented evidence that reality could be influenced by the collective belief and stubborn persistence of an intelligent species. Dr. Kolveth proposed that physical laws were not absolute constants, but rather suggestions that could be overridden through sufficient determination and creative problem-solving. Humanity had somehow developed the ability to negotiate with the universe itself. Captain Steve Adams of the human exploration vessel Frontier became an unwitting test subject for Dr. Kolveth's theories when he volunteered to participate in joint human-alien research projects. Steve was a practical engineer who had spent his career solving problems through common sense and determination, rather than advanced theoretical knowledge. The first experiment involved Steve attempting to improve an elegant alien energy converter through human engineering principles. The device was a masterpiece of galactic technology, converting ambient energy into usable power through sophisticated field manipulation that required precise calibration and constant maintenance. The alien scientists expected Steve to break the delicate device through crude human modifications. Steve examined the alien energy converter with the same approach he used for all technical problems. He ignored the theoretical principles behind its operation and focused on practical improvements that would make it more reliable and easier to maintain. He added cooling fans to prevent overheating, backup systems to handle component failures, and redundant power supplies to ensure continuous operation. The galactic scientists watched in amazement as Steve's modifications improved the device's performance beyond its original specifications. The energy converter now produced 20% more power while requiring half the maintenance, despite violating the theoretical principles upon which it had been designed. The device worked better precisely because it should not work at all. Dr. Kolveth documented every aspect of Steve's modifications, noting how human engineering principles seemed to convince the alien technology to exceed its design limitations. The additions that Steve had made were crude and theoretically unnecessary, yet they somehow enhanced the device's performance through methods that no galactic scientist could explain. The success of the first experiment led to more ambitious projects combining human and alien technology. Dr. Kevin Ross, a theoretical physicist from Earth, joined the research team along with engineer Nancy Clark, who specialized in making impossible things work through practical application rather than elegant design. The joint human-alien research team established a laboratory aboard a specially constructed space station that orbited between human and galactic space. The facility was designed to test the limits of what was possible when human determination was applied to galactic technology and scientific principles. Nancy Clark approached alien gravity manipulation systems with typical human engineering philosophy. Galactic gravity control required exotic matter and complex field generators that consumed enormous amounts of energy to produce artificial gravitational effects. Nancy decided to improve the system by adding mechanical components that should have interfered with the delicate field interactions. The modified gravity system not only continued to function, but operated more efficiently than the original design. Nancy's mechanical additions somehow stabilized the exotic matter interactions and reduced power consumption by 30%. The galactic scientists could not explain how crude mechanical components enhanced sophisticated field manipulation technology. Dr. Kevin Ross worked on theoretical models that might explain how human modifications improved alien technology. His research suggested that reality itself was more flexible than galactic science had assumed, and that physical laws could be influenced by the expectations and determination of conscious beings. The research team's most ambitious project involved deliberately attempting to break established laws of physics to see what would happen. Theoretical calculations indicated that their planned experiment should create a localized black hole that would consume the research station. Instead, the experiment produced a working faster-than-light communications array that operated on principles no one could explain. The communication system achieved instantaneous contact across galactic distances by creating quantum disturbances that propagated through space-time faster than light. The device worked through what Nancy Clark described as applied stubbornness, forcing quantum fields to carry information despite theoretical barriers that should have prevented such communication. Dr. Kolveth observed that the communications array operated successfully because the human engineers had refused to accept that it could not work. Their determination had somehow convinced reality to bend its rules, rather than enforcing the limitations that would normally prevent faster-than-light information transfer. The success of the joint research projects attracted attention from across the galactic community. Representatives from hundreds of species requested permission to study human engineering methods and learn how to apply determination and creativity to overcome theoretical limitations in their own technology. The Ethereal Collective sent energy-based scientists who learned to stabilize their containment fields through human-inspired redundancy systems rather than perfect environmental control. The crystalline hierarchy discovered that their geometric structures could be strengthened through what humans called good enough engineering rather than mathematical perfection. The Machine Intelligence Network began experimenting with chaotic neural architectures inspired by human AI systems. Their collective consciousness found that allowing controlled randomness into their thought processes actually improved problem-solving capabilities and creative thinking. Ancient civilizations that had existed for millions of years began revising their understanding of physics and technology based on human examples. Species that had achieved technological stagnation through over-reliance on theoretical perfection discovered new possibilities through human-inspired practical experimentation. Dr. Kolveth established the Institute for Applied Impossibility, a research organization dedicated to exploring the boundaries between what should be possible and what could be made possible through sufficient determination. The Institute attracted scientists from across the galaxy who wanted to learn human approaches to problem-solving. The galactic community gradually accepted that humans had discovered something fundamental about the nature of reality that other species had overlooked. Perhaps the universe was not as rigid and rule-bound as everyone had assumed. Perhaps physical laws were more like guidelines that could be negotiated with, rather than absolute barriers that could never be overcome. Nancy Clark became the Institute's first director of practical applications, teaching alien engineers how to solve problems through trial and error experimentation, rather than theoretical calculation. Her motto became famous throughout galactic space: "If it works, build more of it and worry about why it works later." Dr. Kevin Ross developed new theoretical frameworks that incorporated human engineering philosophy into galactic science. His work suggested that consciousness and determination were fundamental forces in the universe, capable of influencing physical law through methods that traditional science had never considered. As Dr. Kolveth noted in his final research log, humanity had taught the galaxy that reality was negotiable rather than fixed. The universe had proven willing to bend its rules for species that approached it with sufficient creativity, determination, and stubborn refusal to accept limitations. The galactic community entered a new age of technological development based on human principles of practical experimentation and determined problem-solving. Engineers across the galaxy began approaching impossible problems with the human philosophy that anything could be made to work if you tried hard enough and refused to give up. Reality itself had become more interesting and flexible because humans had convinced it to be more accommodating to species with sufficient imagination and persistence to argue with the fundamental laws of physics until they agreed to new terms.